Upset, upset, upset. Let's take a look at the wild ride that was the 2007 college football season, often dubbed as the season of chaos. It's a year where logic took a back seat and chaos had the wheel. Throwing curveballs at fans that left them screaming at their TVs, flipping couches, and wondering who spiked the Gatorade. Let's take a trip back and see just how wild things got in 07. Now, in any normal year, seeing a top-ranked team go down is like spotting a unicorn. But back in 07, the unicorns were running rampant. To put this in perspective, from 2013 to 2016, only 10 teams that were ranked number 1 or 2 had lost in the entire season. Now that's 4 years combined. But back in 07, 11 teams bit the dust in just 56 days. That's almost 2 full months of football chaos, folks. 7 times it was the number 2 team that went down. Almost like they were cursed. The second best team in the country could not keep their shit together. It was like the universe said, if you're ranked number 2, you're in big trouble. And to add fuel to the fire, 3 times both the number 1 and number 2 ranked teams lost in the same weekend. Now that hadn't even happened once since the 96 season, but 2007 said, hold my Gatorade, and did it twice in 2 months. By the end, fans were treating the AP poll like it was some twisted version of The Ring. If your team is ranked number 2, you have 7 days until you lose. The national champion that year was LSU, a team that lost not only 1 game, but 2. 2 losses for a national champion? Now that's like winning the lottery after you tore your ticket up. It shouldn't have happened, but somehow did. LSU went on to make history as the only 2-loss national champion, and mostly because everyone kept tripping over themselves. LSU didn't have to be perfect, they just had to get lucky. So, how did we get here, you might ask? Well, every contender seemed determined to self-destruct. Now, the elite pool of championship contenders, that was shrinking faster, well, than if I jumped into an ice bath. And by the end, the only BCS team to have 1 loss was Kansas. Yes, I'm talking about the Kansas Jayhawks, the basketball school? Back in 07, the curse of the number 2 had become a national talking point. Being ranked 2nd in the country was like carrying around a ticking time bomb. And these weren't just flukes. They had people scratching their heads and questioning reality. Now let's take, for instance, the Stanford-USC game. USC was favored by a staggering 41 points. 41! At that point, USC might as well have been playing a couple tailgaters who had too much liquor before the game. But in this multiverse, Stanford went into the Coliseum and beat USC 24-23, and the chaos was in full swing. Trojan fans were left wondering if they had somehow crossed into an alternate universe where Thanos was leading Stanford and wreaking havoc on Southern Cal. And speaking of California, the Golden Bears also joined the party. They had dreams of reaching the top spot, but the unranked Beavers decided to shatter those hopes with a good old-fashioned ass-kicking on October 13th. And just like that, another contender knocked out, and fans probably went to bed that night thinking, surely this is a nightmare. But was it? But more chaos happened on October 18th as number 2 South Florida. Yes, South Florida was ranked number 2. This just shows how bonkers this season was. South Florida traveled to Rutgers, where they were surprisingly upset 27-30 in Piscataway. This game was the equivalent of tripping on a banana peel right at the finish line. And then we have the Oregon Ducks with Heisman contender Dennis Dixon. But fate? Well, Arizona. They had other plans. Dixon suffered a devastating knee injury in the first quarter of the November 15th game. And Oregon's hopes of championship glory? Well, those sunk faster than Jack in the Titanic. Arizona pulled off the upset, and the Ducks were wondering what could have been. By November 24th, the curse of the number 2s was in full swing. Kansas, yes, the Kansas Jayhawks, were ranked number 2 in the country. They are about to go head-to-head with the number 3 Missouri Tigers at Arrowhead Stadium. It was a historical moment for two teams who had rarely found themselves in the spotlight, and Kansas, riding high, was brought back down to earth by Mizzou in a 26-38 defeat. And the curse lived on, striking again like a bad movie sequel that no one asked for. But the chaos, it didn't stop there. On December 1st, the West Virginia Mountaineers were sitting pretty at number 2, on the verge of a national championship berth, when they faced off against unranked Pitt, who was a 28.5-point underdog. West Virginia could already smell the roses, or whatever flower they give out there. Instead, Pitt waltzed into Mountaineer Stadium and stole everything, including those championship dreams. The final score, 13-9, and West Virginia is still traumatized till this day. And us Pitt fans, we still chant 13-9 like it's some scared battle cry. If the 07 season was a soap opera, this was a twist no one saw coming. Now, the madness didn't stop during the regular season. The BCS Bowls were like a wild fever dream. Illinois somehow found themselves in the Rose Bowl, and Kansas played in the Orange Bowl because, why not? And undefeated Hawaii, they made it to the Sugar Bowl, but they were in for a rude awakening as Matt Stafford, Sean Marino, and the entire Georgia Bulldogs team just bulldozed them. In all 5 BCS bowl games, the lower ranked team ended up coming out on top. It was a perfect way to conclude a season where absolutely nothing made sense. Even LSU's national championship came with a twist. It was almost poetic that the number 2 team in the nation won the national championship. Now, before 2020 threw the whole world into chaos, 07 was the standard for craziness in college football. It was a season where upsets were the norm, the BCS looked like it had been pulled out of someone's butt, and Kansas was actually relevant in football. Now, if that doesn't scream, "What's going on?" then I don't know what does. Now, next time your team is ranked number 2, cross your fingers, knock on wood, and possibly perform an exorcism. Because as 07 showed us, number 2 is a dangerous game. And sometimes, chaos can be a lot of fun, unless you're West Virginia. Hey guys, as always, thank you. If you guys enjoyed the video or got anything out of it, how about smashing that like button for me? And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and check out the channel. I got a lot more videos coming out all the time. And as always, guys, I'll see you next time.